So Birds of Prey came out and is not doing very good at the high rise box office. It's not really doing well, but I really enjoyed it, and since it is the new eighth installment in the brand new, well, not really brand new, but the 6-year, almost 7-year running DC Extended Universe, it is now time to stop and rank all 8 DCEU films from the worst to the best. Before I give you guys my thoughts, please go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Which ones do you love? Which ones do you hate? Let's be respectful down in the comment section below. Let's all have opinions. If you guys like this video, you guys can subscribe, hit that like button. It really does help out this channel a ton. So without further ado, let's get into my ranking of all 8 DCEU films. Let's get into, starting out with number 8, I have just like one of the most sour and disappointing films I've ever seen. I went to the cinema wanting to love it. I really enjoyed Man of Steel at the time. I really loved Batman vs Superman. Suicide Squad I thought was really enjoyable. Wonder Woman I really enjoyed. So these were all the films that were just waiting for this film to be amazing. And this was one of the most disappointing films I have ever seen. The movie feels disconnected. It feels rushed. Really what DC was trying to do was play catch up with Marvel. Marvel was light years ahead of them. And instead of actually making good films consistent, they were like, okay, we gotta pump out Man of Steel, we gotta pump up Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and then let's bring in Justice League. And what they should have done is made a Superman movie, Batman movie, Wonder Woman movie, Flash, and the Cyborg movie, and the Aquaman movie. And then if those do good, you can do some. Then you can bring out the first Justice League. That's what Marvel did, and it worked great. Yes, there's some high lows and low points of the MCU, definitely, but Justice League had 40 to 50 minutes removed from this film's runtime. So they squeeze it down to just a 2-hour movie. And this is a massive film trying to balance so many different characters and plot points and timelines. And it can't do that in only 2 hours. Yes, the cast is good. I really enjoyed Jason Momoa as Aquaman. There's some cool Batman things. But the tone changes from pretty dark and more mature films, at least by superhero standpoints, with Man of Steel and especially Batman vs Superman, and turns to this jokey, really Marvel film. And it just doesn't work. I find the action scenes to be truly bad, the opening to be terrible, and of course, the visual effects, not just on Henry Cavill's removing mustache, which by the way, looks really bad at points. Sometimes it looks okay, but at points it just looks really bad. But on Steppenwolf, maybe the worst villain in the entire DC universe, this is just a sad and disappointing film. Coming in at number 7, I have Man of Steel. This film I've never liked. I am not the biggest Superman fan, but I do enjoy Superman the movie and Superman 2, and even Superman Returns I find to be okay. This film is a drag to get through. It's boring at times. Even when there's big action spectacle, I'm bored by it. Because I don't care about Superman, because I know he's not going to die. There's no stakes there. That's why I've never liked Superman as a character, because besides a green rock, which barely anyone has, he can't get hurt. And it just doesn't make... I can't get attached to a character where he's just going through buildings and plowing through buildings and probably killing millions and millions of people, and he's just fine with it. I can't really get attached. And also, Henry Cavill does the best job of what he's given. Really what makes this film really bad is because it's not really the film's fault. This film wasn't meant to be the concrete for an entire extended universe. This film was talked to by Christopher Nolan and the writers of the Dark Knight trilogy why they're doing The Dark Knight Rises, which was a year before. The Dark Knight Rises was 2012 and Man of Steel was 2013. And Christopher Nolan really liked the idea, so he gave it to Zack Snyder, and he showed it to Warner Bros. It's like, okay, let's start casting. They made this film $1 million. made a lot of money. Warner Bros. Thought, okay, we have a good foundation. Let's make this our Iron Man of our universe. But instead of making a solo Batman movie, let's just jump to like a Civil War. And that's really what my main problem with the whole DCEU films, even with the film I really like Batman vs Superman, it wasn't made, it rushed things. And this film, really, it stands on its own, but it's bland. The story I find to be really boring and not interesting. The script I find to be lackluster. And the way this story tells it out of order doesn't really work. A film like Birds of Prey, it works because Harley Quinn, her mind's messed up and she's crazy. So it works for that film to be out of order and tell things in a different perspective. Superman isn't like that. This should be told in an ordinary way, and it's not interesting. The film has no style. It's Suicide Squad, a film I really do enjoy. I find it kind of like a guilty pleasure. The cast is pretty solid. Will Smith I find really enjoyable as Deadshot. He has a lot of really cool one-liners. Margot Robbie's, I've always liked as Harley Quinn. Even though in Birds of Prey she shines a lot more, but in this film she's really good. There's some action scenes that work, and some stylish choices I was like, okay, that's cool. But what really doesn't work in this film is first of all, far too long. I don't know what is with these DCEU films. I think they need to be almost 3-hour big epics. What I love so much about Birds of Prey is it's simple. It's an hour and 49 minutes, and they could have easily been like, let's make this 2.5 hours to 3 hours and really stretch out this story. And that's what I feel like this film did. It stretched out its story. This film did not need to be this long. Even the extended cut, which doesn't really add much, just stretches this runtime so much. There's some really interesting ideas, like the relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn. I really like. And that's a good segue to talk about Jared Leto's performance as the Joker. I physically hate this performance, mentally. I'm the only one in my family who doesn't think that. I mean, that does think that. Everyone else loves him. And I'm just like, this performance is bad. I don't find him intimidating. There's nothing that sets me off about this guy. What made Heath Ledger's Joker so great is the unsettling nature of it. Every time he was in a room, you didn't know what he was going to do. He was a very quiet character. He wasn't over the top. He was a very subtle, very quiet character. That's what made him unnerving. That's what made him terrifying. Jared Leto just goes up with tattoos, bright green hair, and metal teeth, and just laughing and being crazy. And that's the thing. He tries so hard to be crazy, and that's not what the Joker is. He's a very simple, very quiet character that he's crazy. This character, Jared Leto, just thinks, oh, he's just an over-the-top person who just shoots a machine gun and laughing. And people really got that worked. This performance doesn't work. He should have been the main villain. But no, we get Enchantress, the second worst villain in the entire MCU. She did not need to be in this film. Her plot line feels forced. It just doesn't feel good. Overall, I don't really like this film that much, and I find it pretty disappointing. Man, Dawn of Justice. Listen, this is a big gap. This is the best out of Zack Snyder's universe. This is easily the best. There's great moments. Ben Affleck's Batman is great. He's not my favorite, but the warehouse fight scene I thought was great. The actual fight between him and Superman is pretty great. There's some good action sequences. It's a good-looking film. Henry Cavill's pretty good. But what really disappoints me, first of all, it is far too long. The extended cut, which I think is the best version of this film, is 3 hours long. This is a chore to get through. And why? Because there's too many plot lines going on. There's the actual Batman versus Superman plot line going on. That's a really interesting and conflict plot line between Superman and Batman and how those two different sides of the universe can collide. That's really interesting. It has to be a Man of Steel sequel. It has to be a Batman setup film. It has to be a Justice League setup. And there's also the death of Superman's story. There's also a romance going on. There's also a mystery between Lois Lane in this bullet that Lex Luthor got. Lex Luthor wants to make Doomsday. Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman. There's just so many plot lines going on in this film, and it can't really keep them up. The final fight I find long, drag, boring. These early DC films, they were trying to be so much like big epics, and sometimes it doesn't work. And with Batman Superman, I like, but it's not a film I really go back to a lot. Coming in at number 4, I got Wonder Woman. I really like this film. I don't think it's amazing. There's only 3 I really love in this DC universe. Wonder Woman's a film that I find fine. It's a really enjoyable film. Films that Gal Gadot's really good as Wonder Woman, or Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot. It's one of those. Her and Chris Pine have really good chemistry. The action sequences, besides the third act, are really good. This actually is a subtle movie that is pretty long, but it's briskly paced. It sets up its characters very well. You care about the characters. It's well lit. You can see what's happening. There's an interesting story going on, and I'm actually invested with characters in a DC movie? What? But what really doesn't work with this film is the final act. It's just a big, overly done CGI mess that just doesn't work. I find it not really interesting. I find it bland at times. And it's just big CGI explosions, and I'm like, I can't really get over it. Steve Trevor's death I find really powerful, but it's wasted now because Wonder Woman 84, this is like, oh wait, Steve Trevor's alive now. And I'm like, that just messes up this movie's story. That's for a whole nother video. But I still really enjoy this film. Before I give you guys my top 3, as I said, let me know you guys' thoughts of these films. There's a lot of divisive, and I think this video is gonna get some interesting reviews, because I don't love the DC universe. I think these top 3 I really do enjoy a lot. And times have changed, and with these top 3, grade doesn't matter here. With this whole video, grade doesn't matter, but especially with this top 3, especially one that's above number 3 that I gave an A for. Number 2 that I gave an A for. Grade doesn't matter here. It's just all about a different style. Okay. Coming in at number 3, I have Aquaman. Aquaman is one of those films that I find so much fun. James Wan directed the heck out of this film. This is over the top. It's over the top at its best. This is a big, over the top, insane film that is so much fun at what is. The action sequences are long, they're wide, they're intense, they're exciting. The world that it sets up is really interesting. Jason Momoa gives a fantastically fun performance. It's not Oscar worthy or anything, but that's what I love so much about these 3 films. They're not trying anything. I feel like the earlier films, especially Wonder Woman, which did get Oscar buzz. I can't remember if it won anything. They're just fun films. The underwater visuals are absolutely stunning. This is one of the gorgeous films. This is one of the most beautifully shot films ever. The color palette is great. The villain, Ocean Master, isn't the best villain, but it's still really enjoyable. Coming in at number 2, I have Shazam. Now, I gave this film an A when it came out. And I think I was just so highly loving it. It's like, I actually love a DC film. I think it's about a B+ now. Or an A-. It's not as high as an A. Rewatching it, there's definitely some flaws. The villain isn't really interesting at all. The tones are overlapping. It goes from this kind of bright, happy movie to this pretty dark movie where creatures are biting people's heads off. I found the performances to be middling. Zachary Levi has so much fun, and him and Jack Dylan Grazer have fantastic chemistry. But Ashley Ager's performance as Billy Batson, I just find annoying. I don't sympathize with his character. I just want to punch him in the face. He's an annoying brat. I don't find the performance very captivating or interesting. I just find him extremely annoying. And I know a lot of people, especially my sister, really enjoys this actor and this character. And I do enjoy him. The action sequences I find really fun. The comedy is great. And why I think this is a better made film than my number one pick, I overall really like the number one pick. And even though my number one I was kind of iffy on, thinking about it, I really enjoyed this film a lot. Shazam is a lot of fun. These top three, even the top four, every one of these except Justice League, I can find someone to enjoy. But these number one pick, I just really enjoy a lot. Coming in at number one, I have Birds of Prey. I originally it went Birds of Prey, Aquaman, and then Shazam. That was the original ranking. But thinking about it and listening to a review and thinking about all the memories, I'm like, that was a good scene. That was a good performance. That was a good action scene. It's not the best thing ever made or anything. It's not like, but it's so much fun at what it does. Margot Robbie gives easily the best performance she's had as Harley Quinn and that I've seen of her. She's great. Ewan McGregor is really fun and intimidating as Black Mask, something that Jared Leto's Joker lacked. The action sequences were exciting, they were wide, they were brutal. This film is just so much fun at what it does. Yes, sometimes the cursing just goes on there's just so much of it, and sometimes it gets annoying. But I just found this film so much fun. The pacing is perfect. It's the shortest DCEU film, but that's probably what yes, the shortest DCEU film, but that's probably what makes it so fun. So yeah, Birds of Prey is my favorite film in the DCEU. So those are my ranking of the entire DCEU film. What do you think of this? Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Please be respectful on each other's opinions. Like this video, subscribe if you guys haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. General out.